Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. He won't come up. Zhou frowned slightly and scoffed. I've waited for him for 6 months. Instead of managing the Nether Sect, did he come here to laugh at me? Master, you've misunderstood eldest senior brother. When I saw that you were still cultivating in seclusion, I sent letters to eldest senior brother and Huang Shiji for help, Mingshiri replied honestly. Zhou did not reply. Indeed, the time he spent meditating on the open earth scroll had exceeded his expectations. The 4 elders had already severed their lotuses and were recultivating. Although 5 months had passed, how could they return to the 8-leaf stage in that time frame? Moreover, nobody knew how an 8-leaf cultivator without a golden lotus would fare against an 8-leaf cultivator with a golden lotus. There was no precedence of this, after all. Apart from that, although his disciples were improving quickly, they were no match for 8-leaf cultivators, after all. Indeed, Mingshiri could not be blamed for this. However, it was a fact that Zhenghai did not know how to respect his master and his master's teachings. In the end, Zhou said indifferently, "Tell him to scram." Master? Eldest senior brother has traveled far to be here. I think that he's sincere. If we tell him to scram now, isn't it? Mingshiri said. Zhou interjected, "If you sympathize with him, you can stay at the foot of the mountain with him." That's not what I meant. I just feel. Eldest senior brother should get lost. After saying this, Mingshiri bowed and went down the mountain. As expected, Zhenghai was still standing in the same spot. His hands were placed on his back. He was neither domineering nor servile. He looked lost in thought as he stared up at the evil sky pavilion. When he saw Mingshiri coming down, he smiled and nodded as he said, "I always knew you're considerate. Old fourth. Come, let's have a talk." Mingshiri? What's wrong? Nothing. Eldest senior brother, what are you standing there for? Mingshiri asked. This scenery brings back memories. I can't help but feel sad. Zhenghai said with a sigh. Mingshiri was speechless, he wondered what was there to be melancholic about. Zhenghai said, I was more mischievous than all of you when I first joined. I've explored every corner of Golden Court Mountain. I like this mountain. I can look at the trees here forever. Why does this sound awkward? Mingshiri, naturally, did not dare to verbalize his thoughts. He asked tentatively, eldest senior brother, aren't you coming up the mountain to meet master? No, Zhenghai said with his hands on his back, he's old. We have nothing in common to talk about. How do you know that when you haven't tried talking to him? Mingshiri mumbled. Zhenghai chuckled and said, how long have you been in the pavilion? 60 years. I was in the pavilion for nearly 3 centuries. Zhenghai said with the air of a senior, nobody in the world knows him better than I do. Mingshiri considered Zhenghai's words before he said, if you know him that well, then all the more you should talk to him. Old fourth, you aren't sent by master, are you? Zhenghai turned to look at him. Mingshiri put away his frivolous air, cupped his fists, and said, eldest senior brother, master has told me to tell you to get lost, to go as far away as you can. If there's no other way, you should kill yourself where you stand, and he won't save you. Is this what he said? Or is there more? Zhenghai glared. I'm worried that you'd clobber me if I told you. Mingshiri chuckled. Just tell me. I won't blame you. He said that of the 10 disciples he's recruited in his life, you're the worst. Ow, you said that you won't hit me, eldest senior brother. Stop. 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 I'm not finished yet. Mingshiri retreated hastily and tidied his clothes. He said that you're useless and as cowardly as a mouse. Zhenghai clenched his fist. He steeled himself and said, Old Fourth, hold my saber. I'm going up. He flipped his palm and his jasper saber spun out, landing in Yin's hand. Zhenghai placed his hands behind his back. He stepped into the barrier as though it was no man's land. Yin shuddered as he looked at Zhenghai's back. This is fucking exciting. The sun set in the west as it always did. Dusk had finally fallen. Yin and Zhenghai sped up to the evil sky pavilion. They moved at blinding speed as though they were worried that they would run into someone. They even used grand techniques, twice. Eldest senior brother, wait for me. Zhenghai was now outside the evil sky pavilion's eastern pavilion. As he stood before the eastern pavilion, contrary to his expectation, he did not feel melancholic. Instead, for some reason, he felt slightly nervous. Forget it. I'll come back another time. Zhenghai turned around and prepared to leave. However, he halted his steps when he recalled Yin's words. He could not help but feel agitated. What does he mean that I'm as cowardly as a mouse? He turned around again. Yin finally arrived by Zhenghai's side at this moment. He asked, eldest senior brother, why aren't you going in? Zhenghai coughed to mask the awkwardness as he dismissed his thoughts and said, Old Fourth. It's late now. I'll come back another day. Yin looked at the skies and wondered. Didn't the sun just set moments ago? Eldest senior brother, aren't you mad that master said those things about you? It's perfectly normal for a master to berate his disciple. How can we, as disciples, hold this against master? Zhenghai patted Yin's shoulder. You're too full of youthful vigor. You should let it go, like me. See you next time. Zhenghai was about to turn around and leave when a gruff voice rang from the eastern pavilion. Since you're here, why don't you come in? Zhenghai. Zhenghai's heart skipped a beat. Even Yin was shocked. Since when did master's hearing become this sharp? Bam. The door of the eastern pavilion was blasted open by a gust of wind. Zhou floated out from the pavilion with one hand behind his back and another extended before himself. With his gray hair and Taoist robes, he had the righteous air of an immortal. The moment he flew above the steps, he unleashed his grand technique. Whiz. Zhou appeared outside of the eastern pavilion. Zhenghai's eyes widened, and he shuddered despite himself. Ding. Disciplined Zhenghai. Reward, 200 merit points. Yin bowed and said, Master, I'll be taking my leave. He thought it was best if he stayed out of this. Zhou ignored Yin, his eyes were trained on Zhenghai. However, he merely glanced at him briefly before he walked toward the back of the mountain. Zhenghai understood what his master meant. Although he felt nervous, he had no choice but to follow master at this juncture. He walked behind his master. Their pace was neither rushed nor slow. At this moment, Pan Zhong and Zhou Jifeng were diligently cultivating behind the mountain. Although it was twilight, they could still see their surroundings. Brother Zhou, quick, quick. A newcomer. Pan Zhong pointed at Zhou and Zhenghai who were walking slowly toward them. If I'm not mistaken, this must be the pavilion master's friend. Fuck your guesses. Let's just get out of here. Pan Zhong swiftly flew away. Zhou Jifeng nodded. You've got a point. He left swiftly as well as though he did not see anyone. Zhenghai followed Zhou all the way to the highest point at the back of the mountain. This was also the quietest place of the evil sky pavilion. Zhou turned around. He stroked his beard and asked indifferently, You killed Guiran? Zhenghai walked up to his master's side and looked at the mountains and the rivers before he replied, Yes. Where were you when the 10 great elites laid siege on the evil sky pavilion all those years ago? Zhou asked. Something stirred in Zhenghai's heart. As he expected, his master had taken that to heart. He replied, I sent one of the 3 sword freaks, Chen Wenjia, as reinforcements. However, he was a double-crossing fiend. Zhou shook his head. What could someone like Chen Wenjie do? Sending a 7-leaf Chen Wenjie over when the 10 grade elites were attacking was akin to giving him a suicide mission. Before the 10 grade elites attacked me, how did they find out about my movements? The one who leaked information about your movements has been killed by you. Zhenghai refuted the insinuation immediately. Yong Shou? Lu Zhou could guess that it was Lu Ge. During his fight with Lu Ge had revealed many pieces of information before he died. Lu Ge was certain that Ji Tiandao had attained the 9-leaf stage before his death. He had also said that if he could have dissuaded Lu Zhou with words again, he would have done so. However, if Lu Zhou remained stubborn, he had no qualms about killing Lu Zhou. Zhenghai said, I admit that I have my own agenda. I won't argue with you on that. Lu Zhou stroked his beard and asked, do you really want to rule the world so badly? Yes. Then what? Lu Zhou asked. Zhenghai fell silent for a moment when he heard the question. The night sky was dotted with countless stars, and their surroundings were silent. I haven't thought about that yet. Zhenghai said, conquering it comes first. Lu Zhou turned around slowly and faced Zhenghai. He said sincerely, I remember you were a teenager when I recruited you. However, you were different from the others. You've experienced countless tribulations and understood the hardships of the world. You could bear what others could not. I remember when you entered the mystic condensing realm, you were delighted and proud. You even vowed to stand at the highest point. Something stirred within Zhenghai when he heard these words. Even he himself did not remember many things in the past. He was surprised that his master did. Perhaps, he had experienced too many trials, his mind remained as calm as a pool of stagnant water. Lu Zhou continued to say, it's my mistake that you aren't properly educated. Zhenghai was taken aback by this remark. His master was not someone who would easily admit to his mistakes. He fell to one knee and placed a fist on the ground. I dare not. Although you call yourself my disciple, I daren't call myself your master. Lu Zhou said with a sigh. Ding. Disciplined Zhenghai. Reward, 200 merit points. Zhenghai lowered his head and dared not say anything. Lu Zhou placed his hands on his back and said, perhaps, you'll become the ruler of Great Yan in the near future. When that time comes, I'll have to kneel before you. Zhenghai shuddered. He lowered his other knee to the ground. Why would you say that, master? Lu Zhou stared at Zhenghai and raised his voice as he said, am I wrong? Then, he continued to say, I have a source, his name's Jiang. He's the 3rd prince of Great Yan. It isn't difficult for him to take the throne with his abilities. Do you know why he's distancing himself from the palace? Zhenghai shook his head. Lu Zhou said, because he personally witnessed 1,000 people burn to their deaths in Zhenghai Palace. His mother was one of the victims. He paused for a moment before he continued to say, he could become the emperor and wield the power to kill. He could have avenged the 1,000 victims of Zhenghai Palace. And yet, he did not. He chose the smarter option. There was no need to elaborate on his words. Lu Zhou believed Zhenghai must have heard about Jiang from Wuya. He also believed that the happenings in the obedient villa had reached Zhenghai's ears. Zhenghai's voice shook as he said, I'm different from him. Master, if I may be so bold to ask you a question. What is it? Zhenghai looked up and met Lu Zhou's gaze. He remembered the things he experienced when he was sold to Lu Lan. He remembered how he tried to fight for a steamed bun in a crowd and failed. Do you know what it feels like to have nothing to eat but dirt for a month? Zhenghai's question was, indeed, bold. His palm was sweaty, and his back was cold as he posed this question. However, when Mingshi Yin's earlier words rang in his mind, he mustered up his courage and continued to ask, do you know how it feels to have somebody stepping on your face while you can't move? Since he had already asked one question, there was no point in holding back now. He inhaled and continued. Do you know the pain of having the person you trust the most stab you in the heart? Lu Zhou could tolerate the first two questions, but the final question was akin to rubbing salt on his wound. He scoffed as he raised his hand and swung it. Bastard. Smack. Lu Zhou slapped Yu Zhenghai's face. Ding. Disciplined Yu Zhenghai. Reward, 200 merit points. Yu Zhenghai did not dodge. However, he persisted. Master. You're a person with a high position, the master of the evil sky pavilion. You're the greatest 8-leaf cultivator in the world, who would dare say no to you? However, I'm not. I'm not. His voice was shaking, but it was powerful. I'm a good-for-nothing, an honest-to-God good-for-nothing. Anyone can step on me, spit on me, the lives of those in power are valuable, but are the lives of the Wuqian commoners disposable? When pigs and dogs are tied to the chopping board, and the butcher inserts a silver knife into their bodies, even they would struggle. Am I lesser than pigs and dogs? Can't I even struggle? I want to climb up, all the way to the highest point. Yu Zhenghai suddenly pivoted on his knees and pointed at the mountains, rivers, and forest. The others will only look up at you if you're standing on the highest point. Enough. Yu Zhenghai was taken aback. He looked at his master who wore a stern expression on his face, clearly angered. He was flustered. Lu Zhou said, clearly resenting Yu Zhenghai for failing to meet his expectations, "You're possessed. Do you think you're the only one who had to endure hardships under the heavens? Do you think I wasn't abandoned when I was young? I rose to the peak of the 8-leaf stage 300 years ago. Which part of my 700 years of hardship is any easier than yours? Do you think I had easily reached the 8-leaf stage? You don't know how much I've been through. Must I act like you and whine about how difficult my life was? How much effort did I spend to raise an 8-leaf cultivator like you? The world has always been unfair. You're shallow and ignorant. Why do I have a disciple like you?" Yu Zhenghai's mind went blank. For a time, he was at a loss for words. Realization dawned on him that he had truly been too self-centered. Master. That was right. Which 8-leaf cultivator in this world had it easy? Which of them did not experience countless trials and hardships? With a stern expression, Lu Zhou said, "Don't call me master." Yu Zhenghai bowed and kowtowed with a loud thud. The air seemed to still at this moment. The surroundings were silent. Lu Zhou turned around with his hands on his back facing Yu Zhenghai. He no longer said anything. Two of them remained there, one standing and one kneeling. Both of them no longer spoke. After an hour, when the moon was high in the starry skies, Lu Zhou suddenly sighed, breaking the silence. Yu Zhenghai shuddered. "I'm saying all this to tell you that it's all right to seek revenge. However, you shouldn't let your quest for revenge blind you. It's fine if you want to take down the divine capital, but you can't lose yourself because of the power." Yu Zhenghai was hit with a sudden realization. He did not know what to feel. Lu Zhou turned around. Thud. Upon seeing this, Yu Zhenghai kowtowed again.